you know, I work at the Court of Appeal, and I don't work on emergency writs, so there is nothing that, you know, work-wise, I'm very blessed in that way, and I know that, and I do appreciate it, and I'm very grateful for it. But, you know, everything else, you know, I've learned, is this really your priority? You know, my brother called me, and I finally answered the phone because he kept calling, and he wanted to know what his daughter had eaten the night before. I'm like, no, did you really need to call me 3 times for this? But for those kinds of phone calls, when people are calling with things, you know, I've learned. I don't have time for this. Can I call you later? Can I call you tomorrow? Can I call you next week? And that's just been such a huge blessing for me because my life goes so much more smoothly. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Angel. Angel reminded me that I wanted to ask the audience, how many of you are caring for sick loved ones? Okay. We're hoping that some of these tips will help you with that also. Okay, next, Miss Retired Judge Carolyn will speak again, but I also wanted to mention that she is a grandmother. And also, I am now a grandmother. My daughter had a little girl 5 months ago. How many of you in the audience are grandmothers? Okay, great. Thank you. Judge?
If I were to start with my story, I guess all of us, our lives in New Orleans were before Katrina and after Katrina. and that's the kind of way we live. But I guess I'll tell you, and you see my quick tip to you is to find some time for yourself. And I said you can watch TV, journal, or just do nothing. Well, I'm one of these, you know, I have this compulsive desire to do everything all of the time. And I have learned, particularly since my husband died, is to take some time for me, because now that I have these 2 children who are teenagers, and when Beth was talking a few minutes ago, she said things will get better, the fact of it is they drive. And then you've got a whole other set of issues with them driving, particularly boys. And my 18-year-old is the boy, and he's driving now. And he's driving his sister, which is another pain, and that's a whole other story in and of itself. But since Katrina, as you know, I took an early retirement from the bench to go back to Mississippi, which is where I'm from, to raise these 2 teenagers. And I was thinking the other day, 4 years ago they left, and Benny was a 9th grader, and Angeline was an 8th grader, and as I told you, on the 21st, Benny will graduate. And so, and Angeline the following year. But the whole thing for me now is to reestablish myself professionally. Last year was a fog. I don't remember much of what happened, unfortunately, and my kids reminded me the other day, because and my son is in the playoffs, and they were saying, well, don't you remember when we went there? No, I have no idea of having gone there. But I have to rebuild, and I know some of you who, though you're not widows, you will be leaving certain kinds of practices or leaving certain kinds of lives, and so you do have to rebuild, and then you start to try to figure out what is it that you want to do, and that's where I find myself now, is figuring out exactly what I want to do. I am mediating, and that allows me to still be in the practice of law and still learn some new things. As I said, I just finished teaching the Louisiana Family Law course at the Mississippi College of Law. Now, the other crazy part is I've got to write a final exam, and that's something I've never done, but I'm getting ready to do that, and Cheryl, you might be able to help me with that. But so it's finding that fit for you, and in the midst of finding the fit and raising children, now in my case, I'm doing it by myself. I have a 28-year-old son who's practicing law here, and then the other 2 teenagers. But for me, it was just finding the time to do, as I said at the end, nothing, because I'm not like that. But just doing nothing allows you an opportunity to refocus, to think about just you. Because you have everybody else pulling at you, your husband, your work, your other things that you do, everybody's pulling. And so you have to find some time for yourself. I journal a lot. It gives me an opportunity to write down my thoughts, and when I go back and look at them and see what I've accomplished when I write down things, and I've set some goals for myself. And so when you're regrouping, think about you. the rest of it will take care of itself, because everybody's going to always want you to do something for them, whether it's children, spouses, or your colleagues or whatever. But think about doing that. Now, I'm also doing some challenging stuff too. I am training for a marathon. I am going to and tomorrow I have to walk 8 miles, and I haven't done that ever before, but I'm doing that in hopes of walking in the Renaissance Marathon in Mississippi in October. And having done that, I will say, and that's for me, because when I'm out walking, I don't have to bother with children or bills or telephones arriving. I mentioned there was telephones or any of that. So that's, and it physically is getting me in shape. And don't forget about your physical health. That is really important, because you can't do anything for anybody else unless you are physically fit. So take care of yourselves. But in the whole analysis of it all, because I guess I have been brought face to face with my own mortality, and so having been in that place, it is important for you to take care of you, because if you don't, not too many of other people will, though they say they will, but they really won't. But it's up to you to take care of yourself. Thanks.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you very much. Next is Kelly, and I wanted to thank Kelly for coming up with the suggestion that we put together some quick tips. And Kelly, I'd like to ask your permission to use this at the law school for when Career Services has different meetings with women and also with my class. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Kelly, would you like to share some quick tips with us?
Sure. And I'm sure all of us can understand the reason why I came up with the quick tips is because if you don't give it to me in a couple sentences just like that, you're not going to get my attention, and I'm never going to listen. I find that when I'm reading a magazine or something, I retain the most if it's a quick tip and a quick blurb. So with that being said, we already covered preparation, which is the number one. But I also want to start off by saying that my philosophy, I've been married 12 and a half years, and I'm only 34 and I have 2 children. My philosophy from the get-go with my husband is that marriage is not a sole proprietorship, it's a partnership. So put your daddies to work. That is my biggest piece of advice. I bring the children in the morning, he picks them up, and we meet back at home, and then we start the daily grind of the work week. So preparation. If I've always prepared my husband, look, I have this trial, I have this hearing, I'm going to be late or I have to leave the house early. You're going to have to bring, you're going to have to pick up. He's fine with it. And it's men. Women adjust like in a snap of a finger, but men don't. You know, they have to know, and they have to know in advance. So prepare your significant other for what's going to come ahead, because I think that they will deal with it better. And we talked about me time. You know, trying to fit in workouts or me time is very, very hard when you're working, and back when I was commuting and your husband works full time and then the kids have after school activities, but you can find time to do it. Saturday mornings are mine. I leave the house at 9 o'clock, I go to the gym. He takes them, he gets them up, dressed, he takes them to gymnastics, and then he comes home. And then we get back into it. Don't feel guilty that you're going to be away from your children more than you are during the week, because it's important to take care of you. You will feel better if you go take time for yourself and if you work out, because for me, the workout is a huge stress relief. Just started a new class, Body Combat, that I love. Y'all should try it, because it's all about combat, but it's all about getting that stress out. You got to do it. And then Mondays I go to work out, and then Wednesdays when Anna Kate's at dancing, my husband brings her, I go work out while she's at dancing, so I don't feel guilty about not being with her because she's somewhere else, and then I go pick her up. So me time is very important. Also, to have a sense of humor. And I know it seems so common sense, but you know, that's one of the reasons why I loved where I worked in private practice, because we were a small firm. Everybody was married and had families, and it was a very relaxed atmosphere. But we were serious about our work, and we did a good job and we got it done, and that just helps you get through the day. Some other quick tips. We already went over geography. I think that is a must. 2 other ones that I've gathered from some colleagues of mine who some of them are working lawyers, some of them are not. is alternative careers, we talked about that, and I've recently made an alternative career, but still practicing law and still getting all the gratification that I have out of